As of right now, civil services are trying to converge an active plan to combat any issues that may arise. So to repeat, at this time, Atlanta, Georgia is on complete lockdown, and we expect that to occur in other areas such as Pennsylvania and Ohio. Columbus has currently reported that they have had various attacks, but have not revealed the true nature of these attacks. There have been incidents in hospitals of infected individuals, for lack of a better description, going insane right in the hospital and attacking other patients. Hospital staff, already in short supply, have been injured in attacks and have left the hospital, which seems counter to logical thinking. This caused multiple hospitals to go into lockdown. Police have decided to stake points in area hospitals to corner unrest, and some injured have been completely turned away for no known reason. It's clear that the reasons are associated with this, and without clarification, we're calling this an illness or a virus. Police are also being asked to escort certain officials, but it's clear that they are short-staffed. Essential workers have already been told that they will have no escorts, and some places have gone completely unguarded. Places like nuclear facilities have their own guards on hand, but when we contacted one facility, we were told they had no thorough training and that there were people outside their gates that failed to respond to commands, and police calls went unresponsive. While in the city proper, the Atlanta mayor has requested the National Guard be called to guard the State House and to set up an emergency area to protect essential government employees so that their functions could continue. The reason for this was a few employees were attacked and a refuge was set up inside. The response seems to be that the request was considered preemptive and to allow local authorities to do their jobs first. Even though these events took off at first, they seem to have subsided. Many areas of the country have reported no activity at all, similarly to what is happening in these localized areas. And even in these areas, you'll find pockets that had no idea of what was taking place a few short miles away. This has led many media organizations and people who have taken to social media to call these events hyperbolic, saying it's much worse than it's being reported. That's the biggest concern at the moment, to truly understand what we are dealing with and measure its scale. So while hospitals have been researching everything from viruses and bacteria to fungal spores and drug interactions, and even get this radiation from space or some foreign body that is only native to the deepest oceans. Although these studies sound unrealistic, the scientific community doubled down and said they were researching every possibility, as this could represent a clear and present threat to any area these individuals were discovered. They didn't clarify the threat, where these areas were, or what their remarks meant in any way, and refused to comment further. That didn't stop the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota from making the claim that these individuals may already be deceased. When asked to clarify, they simply stated that some force, such as a microbe or foreign body, could be somehow reanimating recently deceased individuals and allow them to attack living organisms in some way to sustain themselves. Others argued that would require a change in the human physiology. The CDC called this preposterous and claimed the most likely culprit was a drug known as xylazine that has seen increased use over the past years in illicit drug use, most notably used with fentanyl. The side effect of the drug is excessive tiredness, respiratory depression, and open wounds, some needing to be amputated. They state this drug is rarely tested for, it is not a controlled substance, and can make opioid tests appear negative. They believe that mixed with some sort of mind-altering or aggressive substance, and you could have the chilling effect we're seeing here. This seems like the most plausible assumption, but we just won't know until further research can be done. The president's staff did make a brief comment today that they are keeping a close eye on events transpiring and wish the best for families and communities that have been impacted. That this is a chilling fact of drug use, of what can happen when the technology available to individuals today, and a clear reason why certain substances should be outlawed. That once the true scope is known, that they will take all the necessary action available to combat this deadly outbreak. That is the clear problem, though. And this is something we brought up before. At this time, we just don't know what we're dealing with. Could it be a bacterial infection, a mutated virus, a microbe, or a drug formula gone wrong? And it's clear why so many different groups are beginning to research and deduce what is happening, and more importantly, how it spread, and will it spread further? We can't truly know what impact rural areas are having and how widespread it is. We can only rely on the reports from individuals and authorities in those areas. I also think this is why we're seeing what many are calling inaction on the part of government leaders. On the one hand, if you are in one of these areas, you may see a great deal of activity and wonder why you're not getting more support. Speak with anyone that knows, and you'll hear that military response is out of the question. What we are seeing is private sector businesses, pharmaceutical companies, and personal security firms that are being called into these areas by high-profile individuals. Events at major venues have been canceled indefinitely, and for many, this shows that they are expecting to hold out for much longer than is expected. The question is, are we talking days, weeks, months? How long before we see a resolution of these events? And if inactivity continues, if local law enforcement and healthcare officials are left to their own devices, we may see something more severe. But how severe? We don't know. So I have to say, this is one of the most confusing news cycles to ever be involved in. On the one hand, we have too much news to report, and on the other hand, we haven't received a lot of answers to that news. A great example is, how do you deal with someone who is sick? Better yet, how do we know if they are sick? The simple response has been to avoid and contact authorities, but that entire statement is clinically vague. It's like saying, to not get wet, stay away from liquid. Is there an expectation of a spill? We don't know. We don't even know if there's water. The biggest concern that some local officials have is that people may take actions into their own hands. Concerns about what actions can be taken to cure a loved one who has fallen to these effects. One mother said that even if her child was ill, that she wouldn't take them to the hospital, make sure to restrain them until some sort of treatment is available. Instead, we're hearing that police have killed numerous sick people, and the outcry has simply gone ignored. These kinds of contradictory reports and statements have made covering these events not just difficult, but impossible in any rational, and dare I say, sane way. I simply threw out the book this morning before the sun even came up, and I think I'm not the only one. It's like saying, go on the air, no script, no notes, just wing it. So I wish I had better information from our listeners and for the people that depend on us every day to get their news. I feel like we've been rambling for 12 hours now, and that we've said little or nothing to assist people. I want to say I feel your ambivalence. It's a shared boat that I'm just eager to disembark from, as I hope you are. Could this all be nothing? Could we be overreacting? Could this be a real version of the War of Worlds, and the truth is this is a localized and minor thing that is happening, and it'll all just blow over? Absolutely. In fact, there are some officials that are telling us just that exact same thing. We could be worried about something that none of us, or at least in true cases, a very select few, will experience. That's the other concern that many news stations and commentators are truly fearful of. On the one hand, we've received a great deal of information, a great deal of confirmations. Social media exploded with some very terrifying pictures, but this is simply what we call the fog of war. It's hard to see a clear and concise picture of what's going on, especially when you don't fully understand it and are lambasted with tons of imagery that is made to move your senses or to incite fear. Imagine as a reporter handing off information to people that later results in loss of life to someone who is just having a cold that day. So it's important that you take all this information exactly how we see it. I don't want to say with a grain of salt, but maybe with a grain of speculation. Some reports have said run out and start stockpiling, and the results have been empty store shelves in areas that have had nothing occur within them. A similar incident of someone running from an area crashed and taking out power to a major hospital may have ended in innocent people that passed away. Clogged arteries running from cities could block police and first responders from getting necessary tools they need to an area that actually is affected. I do believe from this reporting that we are dealing with a dynamic event, one we can't truly measure in scope, and it's going to take a great deal of powerful minds to overcome, but one that, like anything else, we will deal with. We will overcome it. It is as bad as you think, but nowhere as near as you realize. It's a manageable event, clearly. And I know that doesn't give you solace if you're locked in a building in Atlanta right now, but there are people out there that are working for you and are going to clear this up as soon as they possibly can. And that seems to be the one thing that we hear consistently over and over again. So the goal for everyone is to stay calm, keep a level head, work with the information we have, and we'll continue to collect data from any source that will give it to us. We'll go through that information, and I give you my solemn word that we'll verify everything we can, and we won't give you inaccurate information. I think that's all any of us can do right now. We stay the course, we use credible information, and all we ask in return is you give us the best information you have. If you're a source and understand something, pass it along. The hope is that this will save lives. And if not, it will only confirm what we feel. Maybe that will bypass our fears, or maybe that'll take away the true fog that we're dealing with right now. We've heard that amateur radio operators are in these areas and they have enacted emergency communications to assist local and civil defense in how best to tackle certain areas. And we'll probably have a radio channel that people can tune into so they were able to follow them in their discussion. Remember that anything you hear there is raw information and may not have been filtered. We're going to tap into that chain ourselves to see if there is anything we can relate to you, as well as we continue to verify anything that is stated from any source. That's the good news that we have. The links of communication are holding strong with different sources from government, local, health organizations, and in some cases civilians alike. Everyone is quick to try and get this information out, but there isn't much to say at this time. We can't say where to go or where not to go. So patience is the best medicine. The best advice, stay put until we know more about what to do, and in some cases, what not to do. This just came in with perfect timing that shelters are being set up for homeless individuals to report to, and they are advised to report immediately. They are specifically saying if you are a drug user, that you are at high risk of developing these symptoms and potential illness associated with the outbreak. The goal being to mitigate the spread as early as possible. They are reminding people that this is specifically for homeless, but includes anyone who has used any sort of controlled substance in the last 24 hours. That if you are not homeless, then you should continue to work with your doctor and healthcare channels you normally would, especially if you're feeling sick. So that's important information. I think in some respects it may identify where they are most likely beginning to isolate possibly where this illness began. In many early reports, impoverished areas seem easily affected by the illness, and how it's transmitted is something that we don't know. At this time, we want to clarify that yes, we are receiving reports of attacks in various areas by individuals described as lethargic and unresponsive. These are slow-moving individuals who may seem harmless, but will attack if able. Most common attacks are bite wounds and blunt trauma, and some injuries have been reported of people falling down once they are attacked, but have been able to easily escape their attack.